We're good? Okay. We're going to call the Wednesday, April 5th, 2023 Board of Education meeting back to order. Everyone please silence your electronic devices and we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, additions and deletions to the agenda since Friday mailing.
Yes, for business consideration, 6.19 will be adding the 2023-24 instructional calendar. And in personnel considerations, 7.40, we have a resignation of a finance clerk and purchasing agent.
Okay. Can I have a motion? We got a Mr. Ross, a second. Mr. Beninati, all in favor? Aye. I need a motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the March 15th, 2023 BOE meeting. Mr. Ross, Mr. Dale, all in favor? Aye. And we have a special presentation that Dr. Bailey will give to Eagle Scout Max Dale.
Great. This is one of the greatest things that the board and I get to do, which is to celebrate an amazing landmark event. It is, it's like climbing all the peaks in the Adirondacks, I think, very frequently. So I wanted to read from a letter that basically encapsulates how monumental this accomplishment is for a young man such as Max. Eagle Scout is the highest rank attainable of the Boy Scouts of America. Since its introduction in 1912, the Eagle Scout rank has been earned by more than 2 million young men. Today, prior to today, you've joined that elite group by demonstrating the highest qualities of leadership and moral character in your pursuit and attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout. And as you progress through your life, remember all the challenges that you met and the merit badges that you've earned toward receiving this prestigious award. The qualities of honor, courage, and commitment will serve you well in your life's quest. And the certificate says, Certificate of Achievement presented to Maxwell Bernard Deo in recognition for successfully attaining the rank of Eagle Scout after completing all requirements and being examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review. Our congratulations to you. Thank you very much. This for you. Would you like to me if can't take this? And I wanted to have an opportunity, if you wanted to describe it all, what your project was, we'd love to hear it.
So my project took place at Lawson Lake. Part of Albany County's initiative over the past few years has been to really invest in all of their parks and every resource that they have, as well as investing in the future. Part of their initiative in that is that they want people who would not necessarily be able to go camping or use the outdoor facilities based on financial standings or any other barriers. Anyone who want to have the opportunity to do that, they want to make sure that opportunity is available, and they want to make it easy for people to use. My project really consisted of clearing out a campsite in the woods behind Waldman Lodge. I built a tent platform, I made a campfire pit, and I made some log benches around the campfire. I had around 25 people there, and it took like 6 hours, and we got a lot of community service out of that.
Thank you. Congratulations. We have no hearings and petitions. I need a motion for business considerations. One or all. No.
Consideration 6.1 through 6.19.
Okay, do we have a second? Mr. Ross. For discussion, I do want to thank some people for some donations to the school district Stewart's Holiday Match Grant for donations to our backpack program, library books in our elementary schools, KC Contracting, and Track 32 for donations for field trips for our Friends Club. Our A.W. Becker PTA and Peter B. Coeymans PTA for the attendance poster contest, along with the middle school PTSO. So I want to thank all of them for their donations. Is there any other discussion?
I have a question on 612.
Okay?
Alluve, is that a software company, actually?
I don't believe it is. They're a company that helps they help assist us with doing the transparency report and the ESSA reporting for the year.
Our clerk, our data coordinator, but that's typically their job, right? Are they the one entering the stuff?
No,
in,
this
or
would be more of a business side of things.
on the business side. Of
Yeah.
things.
Our data coordinator would have a few things to do with it, but mostly it's on the business side of things.
What would that entail? Like
Putting
what-
this together.
No, what is the business side of this?
So the transparency report has to do with the budget. So it's you put a budget together where the certain items fit into the budget for next year, and then the ESSA reporting is more the expense side of things. So at the end of the year and then kind of at the beginning of the year. Very similar reports though.
Are these new reporting requirements?
No, it's been around for a few years now.
Have we hired a company in the past to
Yeah, New York
assist
State,
us?
we have worked with them before. New York State changed the expectation, the rules 3 or 4 years ago, and rationale being was to be sure that a school district, when ours is fairly easy to see and understand, but we still have 2 elementary schools. Conceptually was to ensure that school districts were equitably distributing their funds. And equitably does not mean equal. For instance, if we had students at Becker that in a certain demographic that were performing more poorly, that we would attribute more money in staffing to that building instead of Peter B. We only have 1 middle school and 1 high school, so that's a little bit easier, but the complexity is, it is every single dollar. That means if we have a custodian, we have 2 custodians at Becker and 1 at Peter B, that dollar has to be put in those buildings and it's attributed to the transparency report. It is very complex work. Our salaries also are distributed, different bus drivers, all of that has to be equated so that the resources are, it is extremely complex work. And the information is provided to them through Jesse's office, and then they help compile it in a way that New York State wants to see it.
So we consult with, or we contract with somebody
Eleview.
each year
Yeah.
to do this? Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
For 613, I'm not sure what that means or what it refers to. So
Which one, Jenny?
6.13,
The Albany County
the
Sheriff's
24-hour camera access to Albany County Sheriff's Office?
Yes,
Why do we need that? Or
the sheriff's office has asked all of the schools in which they have access or contact with, in other words, within their jurisdiction. In the event of an emergency, they can see our cameras.
would be them having access to
That
our
is correct.
cameras?
So,
Okay.
and as a, for instance, and this swatting, this false reporting that's been going in our region, it allows them to instantly see. Someone calls in and says, there is an active shooter on the 2nd floor of Bethlehem High School. They can see the cameras and see that that is likely not true.
Okay.
So it kind of precipitated this request on their part, but it's confidential, it's a, a VPN, it's an agreement that we have with them, and only they can see.
So it's not general monitoring, it's the event
That
of
is correct.
emergency.
And
You know-
they're viewing it from their location?
That
their
is correct,
office, or-
they can remotely view. And the agreement states that they would have that in an emergency situation, and that they would only do it in order to ensure the proper,
Response.
the proper functioning of the equipment.
Okay.
It's a good question.
So it's not open-ended, it's in an emergency
Correct.
situation.
And we had our attorneys look at it as well to make sure that the agreement was copacetic. We like this level of cooperation. I mean, it's definitely
yeah.
very beneficial.
I just wasn't sure what was meant by it.
That's actually great that it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Because when the building's not staffed, if there's some complaint or something suspicious happening, they'll have vision to that before anybody ever arrives.
And our cameras are inside and outside
Yeah.
our buildings. So
Exactly, yeah.
Agreed.
About how many cameras do we have?
A lot. I'll have to find out. At the high school alone, the high school and the middle school are the ones with the greatest coverage. Both elementary schools are slated for improved coverage through both the Smart Schools bond money, E-rate money, and through the small project. Bill and I were just talking today about some of the infrastructure things that will need to be updated in order to get there. But the high school alone probably has 40 between the inside and outside.
Do we only utilize them in an event, like if there was a fight, if there was an allegation, or do we monitor them on a regular basis?
I tell you that Officer Patty has them on his monitor all day long. He can see those cameras, and it's not uncommon for the principals to have it up on one of their monitors as well. There isn't like a person stationed and actively monitoring like that, but it is great because it's a single screen with every single camera on it, and they can get a sense of if there are kids in the hall where they're not supposed to be, or there was an issue that happened, they can quickly go to the area and rewind back. Or if there's a student who isn't in their class and we're looking for them, they can just sometimes look and see them walking somewhere.
What level of camera coverage is there for the property surrounding the school buildings?
What did you ask?
What is the coverage like for the areas surrounding the outsides of the school buildings? Is that something that they have access
That's
to?
for all the buildings, that's the area that has the best coverage. It's the inside of the elementaries where we're trying to do our most work, but all of we can easily see when you go outside on the corners, every corner of the buildings, you can see the cameras that are there. Many of them are motorized, but and some of them do sweep, but they have very wide range. So the high school is a perfect example. It's basically a 360 view because we have access on every corner of this facility. And I think they are as well around the other buildings, but I'm not as sure. The idea is to have 360 because the issues can happen at any area. And certainly we've gone back and we've reviewed tapes and tried to resolve issues that have happened by using the cameras.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I have a question on 618, on the tax card there, Jesse, the reserves for the tax challenges dropped 38, next year is 38.6 less. Are we anticipating on
The property tax card, yeah.
the tax card, so it's, the taxatory for this year is 192,875, next year 154,275. So are we anticipating a challenge that we're gonna be paying back at 38.6?
I mean, some of them, as you know, some of them fall off, and we also haven't actually made an adjustment from years past of like paying some out and not. So we try to reconcile it to close as the estimated amount as possible. We haven't actually done the exact amount yet, but there will be some that will be coming off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Just one other quick one, the 616, what did we land on for the times it's gonna be open?
Full-time, 7 a.m., 9 p.m.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you good? All in favor? Aye. Questions? Gotta make sure we do the motion, I don't forget. I need a motion for one or all the personnel considerations.
I'll make a motion for 7-1 through 7-40.
Okay. So we have a second.
Second.
Mr. Ross. We are going to call out, we have tenure, which we would like to congratulate our employees. front. Congratulations, starting with Kelsey Galln, Lauren Poskanzer, Jennifer O'Keefe, Timothy Hoteling, Madeline Cole, Daniel DeFeo, Colleen Meltz, Jennifer Cohen, Jennifer Wallace, Jennifer Mapes, Aaron Ledoux, Destiny Tuzin. That's all of them. So we would like to congratulate all of them on this accomplishment.
And we'll do a celebration for them in the fall.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on any of these items?
What does this fall under, Teddy? It was in the packet, the Finance Audit Committee meeting. Does that fall under a certain number for discussion or no?
No, there's nothing that'll be in motion. It'll just fall under the committee meeting minutes.
Okay, so if you had a question on that one, we bring that up.
Yeah, when we get to audit finance committee meeting. Unless there's something on the agenda we're making a motion.
No, I didn't know. No, sorry. I was just, I didn't pay attention, sorry.
All right. Okay, all in favor? All right. 8.1 through 8.4 is informational items only. Special reports. Our spring sports have started. Spring has not arrived as far as temperatures yet. It was a little brisk out there today. We have spring break coming up this week. I know we've had a lot of concerts. Anybody have anything else to report? I don't want to take all the thunder. I'm sure Dr. Bailey and Mr. Engel have plenty to report. No? I will turn it over to Dr. Bailey.
So over the February break, we had a successful trip to Costa Rica, and we have 28 folks who are headed off, 27 folks, staff and students and some parents, to France, Italy, and Spain. It's too late to go, now, but they'll be heading off Friday. And they'll be, I think they have a total of 8 days. But the itinerary looks very rich, and it'll be an amazing trip for them. Hopefully they have good weather while they're there. It's the district made a bold commitment to move back to these extracurricular trips. And the feedback from the folks who went on the last one was very positive. So I'm excited to hear what the feedback is from these folks. And we are already pre-planning trips for next year. One to Spain, and the other one is Japan? No.
Japan?
Japan.
That's a trip.
No small
That's a
feat.
trip.
7 days of travel and 1 day to enjoy.
Okay.
Over the break, we have a chance for our groundskeeper staff to really get outside and start to, things are turning green, you probably noticed. You see piles of dirt all over the campus. They're out there repairing the curbage and the areas that were damaged during the winter. There's a lot of cones over near the middle school, keeping people off the wet areas where they like to park in the mud there. But I expect that over the next few weeks, you'll see a real turnaround in the conditions of our grounds. And also very excited, our building project, the $2 million one for the summer was approved, and we'll be going out to bid in the next day or two.
It's in the paper. We'll be in the paper on the 7th.
Right. So going out in the paper, and what that means for us is that once we have the bids in hand, I believe it's the last week in April, we open them and we can start awarding, so that work that we're proposing can get done. As a quick reminder, and I'm not going to remember everything because we're doing $15 million 2 years from now and this one this year. The 4 classrooms in each of the elementaries at the front with the asbestos remediation, replacing the air exchangers there. We have some work around the outsides of the buildings that'll get done. If there are any things that we can move forward from the $15 million project, we will do that as well, if it's within the scope of the work that we expect for the $2 million one. But the good news is, if everything goes as planned and we're in a good position for getting those bids in, we'll be able to progress and do the work in the summer and finish up by the fall, which is a big deal.
I think, can we try to put something like on future meeting of getting getting the architect here, getting an update on what those items are, maybe a list of those items?
Yeah.
And have a discussion just so we have an idea and kind of update everybody of where we're at with those things and what may happen this summer, this fall. That's why I debate on,
Great
do we
idea.
do it next meeting or do we wait until bids or like,
I think we have a little bit of a question. If we did it anytime in the next 6 weeks, it'd be good.
all right, yeah, let's put it on.
We'll also create a web page that has coverage of what's happening. And although Deirdre's last day was Friday, I was able to meet with our temporary communications person from BOCES. We're going to have someone in district 2 days a week. Michael Halsey, he's a parent in the district, and he's also a new employee to BOCES. And he's background in print media, very strong in journalism, so he's going to be a good fit for us. And he'll be helping us with some of those communications over the next few months.
Will these summer projects have an impact on the summer schools, summer camps?
A little bit.
Okay. But we'll still be able to do the elementary
Correct.
buildings?
Yeah, since we knew where those areas were that we're going to be working on, Fred has already been, here's the back door, and here's the side door, and here's the, but for things, especially for like asbestos remediation, our plan is to try and get it done prior to student arrival. I mean, prior to school starting in the summer, because even though, it's constantly air monitored, it's highly governanced, people don't like looking at it. They're fearful for a lot of reasons. So if we're able to get in the queue and get things done, we're going to try and get that component done as soon as possible prior to student arrival in the summertime.
And when are those camps?
It's the Monday after July 4th.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So our hope is to get in there in that last week in June, try and get it done. Most of those it's about a week's work. They tent up and then they just go at it and then clean up after themselves.
Sounds good.
I mentioned at our last meeting that we had the opportunity to go to Hartford, Connecticut to visit 2 theme-based magnet schools. So 8 of us went to Breakthrough Magnet School, which was a theme-based school around student leadership. It was pre-K 3 to 8, so 3-year-olds to 8th grade. And it was just a very strong community-oriented type of school, a lot of community service. 8th graders usually leave getting fought over by other high schools because they're so strong and centered. So it was great. We left with some really great ideas around things like mindfulness and character education. And then the other school we visited was a magnet school for performing arts, which was really good to see it from a CTE perspective. They had classrooms in costume design and set production. They had dance teachers for PE. So it just made us think a little bit differently about and outside of the box. Especially we had one of our music teachers go with us, and then Ms. Haas, who helps with the school play. So they were very excited to visit that place, but to think about the pathway around individual arts that we've talked about in the past, and again, how we can do that. So taking some of those ideas, I think was eye-opening for us for that. Lots of visual art news going on. Our public library exhibition is still happening, so if you happen to go by the Ravena Public Library, check out our students' work there. And then we have 4 students participating in an annual legislative student art exhibit, and it's virtual. Information on that is on our website. I think there's still buckets out at our elementary schools. The sap to syrup project is, I think, ending up. I think I got a little mason jar of syrup the other day at the house, so those processes are happening. I think it's our 3rd year of that, and it keeps growing, but and then lastly, I just wanted to give an update. By the end of this academic year, we should be able to come to the board with a complete athletic and extracurricular code of conduct. The committee, it's a subcommittee of DLT, has been working on that. And we are very close. Our next step is to bring it to our attorneys just to make sure that things are aligned to our policies and state law. And then we have to, as part of the process, open it up to public comment.
Does that get folded into our overall policy? Like, is that like an annex, or how do they mesh with the general school policies?
What we made sure we did is we listed all of the policies that have to do, like, with, let's say, attendance are embedded within that. We listed the numbers within that. So I'd have to ask, that's a great question.
Well, because every time you may open one up for revision, you're gonna have to have that parallel line
Sure.
to make sure they both.
Yeah. So we cited all of the policies that we knew. We looked at our old ones as well. We wanted to align it very closely or as much as possible to our current code of conduct as well. So I'll report back to that. It's a good question. That's all I have.
Okay. We'll turn it over to Mr. Bone.
I don't have a ton tonight, but I did want to remind you of some important dates for the budget coming up. April 17th is the deadline for filing for board petitions to the district clerk by 5 o'clock, and Sue said she will not be staying past 5:01, so if you want to get there by 5. The budget hearing will be on May 3rd at the board meeting, and then finally the budget vote on the 16th, 7 to 9. That's all I got.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah.
I know.
Sound.
I know. So,
Cruising along.
as you may have noticed, Mr. Englehart's position has been posted with a closing date 3 weeks from now. We already have some applicants, and we'll be forming a committee around that. And along those lines, as one of the motions tonight, you appointed Seth Stanton as our Director of Human Resources. You were able to meet him a few weeks ago, but Seth is in the audience, so wanted to say congratulations. See, we purposely waited until now because we always clap before we vote. And we never know what's going to happen. So we waited until now. We're good.
Okay. New business. Anyone have any new business? Any of these items as far as
I have one
old?
for old business, but it's not on there. We've discussed it before, so I don't know. Do you want me to put it under new or old?
Is it on here?
No, it's not.
Well,
But
you
it's
know.
been in old business before.
It'd be
What's
new
the
old
update
business.
for the elementary school playground? Was the Becker playground to be installed in the spring, and is that still on track?
Yeah, the plan is for the underground improvements to be done at Peterby as part of the $2 million project.
Okay.
And playground at Becker to be installed. They did the paving when there was a window not that long ago. They repaved, so that part is done, and they plan on installing this spring
Plan on installing the stuff in the spring
at Becker. Yeah.
at Becker? And then Peterby would be involved with that $2 million
If
capital
we're
project?
able to do, because they have to do the irrigation first, if we're able to do that one this year, we will do so, yeah. Remember, it's, the money is coming from outside of the project, so we're not beholden to the timelines of the contractors, other than that underground work first.
So do we have the equipment yet, or like what's the time frame for that?
I don't think that we do. I'll have to ask Bill Schramm. What?
Spring is,
The install?
Go to where?
Would the installer have the equipment? No?
Probably, but I'll find out. I'll get an update for you 2 weeks from now. I'll be able to say.
I will update the BOE workshop. I did confirm the date of June 7th, and that's all she gave me for information from NISBA, and said she'll be on vacation until the 17th, and she will send me the information, probably contact Sue and Dr. Bailey as far as information when she gets back on the 17th of April. But it is confirmed for June 7th.
I've got one item
Oh, go ahead.
for old business that I think is old business, but it's also not listed here. The handouts, I think primarily for like elementary school, this is, you know, papers that kids will be taking home.
Yep.
It's RCS School District.
Yeah, school's quality.
That's what it is.
You're welcome.
Schools from there.
So dismissal tomorrow is at 2:50 for the elementary schools and at 2:05 for the middle school and high school. I scheduled it at 7. I thought we'd be done.
So this came out, I had a couple of questions in the past week on the handouts, and I wasn't entirely sure where we left it, the last meeting.
We had said that we would look at board policy, and we actually do have a policy that speaks to that, so.
Okay.
And I was gonna wait for the policy committee reporting thing. We have a strategy for what we wanna do moving forward with the policy committee. There are 4 I'm jumping ahead to committees. There are 4 policies that are required policies that we currently don't have in our manual. We're going to start with that, and we were going to look at this current policy on sending home communications for nonprofit organizations.
What's the current status right now?
That
Did we prohibit materials from going home from organizations not part of the school district?
well, I think the board said that they wanted things to go home.
That's what I thought too. But
Yeah.
I was told this week that a particular group that wanted to do a handout, a community-based nonprofit, that the directive was that they could not.
Nobody's
hand out
asked me.
materials.
I haven't had a chance to say no, just
Okay.
direct them to me.
Okay.
Did someone else tell them that?
Yeah.
I don't know who told them, but they were told no.
Okay.
That's policy that
So-
no materials can be handed out. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, sports.
Mike, you're hitting it right on the head, is that people traditionally have not asked, they've just done it.
Right.
That's part of the problem, because the existing board policy has parameters around who the groups are. It's not extremely stringent, but it does say it can't be commercial in nature. It does say it can't be political in nature. Someone has to look at that, and that someone is me. They haven't asked me, they go to a secretary and they say, can you put these in? So please direct them to me and I'll be able to help
Okay.
them.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I go to figure that summertime stuff's gonna be ramping
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, good, thank you.
While we still have unstructured student time, how are we doing with substitutes and keeping time within classrooms instead of in mass assembly? Better?
Ebbs and flows. There was one day, they know that it's an issue, I mean, the administrators know that it's something that we're all watching. So when it is a wipeout, they unquestionably call us and let us know. And I think the last one that was a complete wipeout was Thursday of 2 weeks ago. Does that feel right? Where Ryan called and said, just wanted you to know, this many people are out and this is what we're gonna have to do today. So it's not perfect, but it's a weird, one day there'll be 11 classes in there over the course of a day, and then for 3 days there'll be no one in there. It's unpredictable. But we haven't gotten any more subs in the meantime.
It's almost like bus drivers substitutes. You know,
No, the
which
same.
one do you want more? You pick and choose.
How about both?
Yeah,
Has there been any consideration on when we were talking that one time with Ryan about maybe some type of structured activity, whatever that would look like? Have they made any progress with that?
Carol and I started to look at, and Kara Buckley started to look at things, platforms that would allow us to put courses, like online courses on, where students could earn potentially extra credits or certificates towards things that they might be interested in. So we are looking at those things. We haven't made a decision on that yet, but we have done some investigations around that.
Yeah, but Ryan had a good point too, because I know my kids run out the door, it's like, did you charge a Chromebook? Like he said,
Yeah.
if the Chromebooks are charged. Right, so.
okay. We're good? Audit, you good? Audit Finance Committee meeting, minutes attached, you have questions?
Yeah, I just had a question on the bottom for Jesse. So, one of the things was the POs should be processed, obviously, prior to a purchase being made. So, I understand that happens sometimes, but when the times when it happens a lot, what's being tracked? Because typically, someone make a PO, the purchasing agent would send it, then a copy of that would have to go to whoever's the receiver. If the PO is not being generated till after the invoice, how does the person taking the stuff off the truck, if they don't have a PO to match it up with, how do they know what they're supposed to get? They're supposed to be getting. How do we know if we're getting it all? That's how stuff can get lost.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. No, I agree.
So what is the process, if the PO is being generated after the invoice, how do they know what's supposed to be coming in?
Yeah, so what has happened in the past is a lot of these companies where this is happening, we're using them over and over and over again. So we have a connection with them already. We know what, we've done like different orders with them. It could be Staples or something like that. We do a lot of business with them. So sometimes they will do it ahead of time and they'll use a different PO, but they know what the order is and they'll have the order all lined up. It's not a proper way to do it because you're right that it's hard to come back and do a quality control, see where things are supposed to go, we got everything we needed to get. But also, it's not happening 5 or 6 days later, it's happening like a day after. So they're not following the process correctly, and that's why we got written up for it in this audit report. But you absolutely, it generally happens that we'll already have a PO before we receive the items.
So so the receiver will actually know what's coming in, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
That's my
Yep.
question.
Yep. Okay. Good. We have no hearings and petitions. Next BOE meeting is on 4/19. We'll do the BOCES budget vote on that night. We will be going back into executive session, but we will not be taking any action. So I need a motion to go to executive session. Mr. McFerrin, a second. Mr. Beninati, all in favor? Aye.